finally found it. As you can see, I'm looking for this machine called CPAP, or continuous positive airway pressure. What's interesting about this machine is that it has been able to save thousands of newborns within 24 hours after birth at the neonatal intensive care unit of National Hospital of Pediatrics over the last few years. More importantly, it is designed and assembled by an American engineer right here in Vietnam. His name is Kirk Evans, and he's going to be the main story for today's EXPAT Living.
Kirk Evans is an American medical engineer who left a 15-year career in high-tech research to develop medical technology for people who need it the most. He came to Vietnam in 2001 and has spent the past 13 years devising made-in-Vietnam medical equipment for the country's neonatal units, saving thousands of premature infants in the process. From one career path to his new one in Vietnam, he now enjoys scientific and technological progress that can help people. I made my way to meet Kirk at his house and lab.
Hello, are you Kirk?
Good. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Come on in.
Thank you. So this is your working room, right?
Yes. This is where manufacturing and service takes place for all the machines.
Yeah, a lot of machines here. And I can see that this is the famous CPAP that I know.
This is it.
Can you introduce me a little bit more about this machine?
Sure. What it is it is a ventilator for newborns, but it's a very basic newborn ventilator. And what that means is it provides just a gentle amount of pressure to help the baby breathe, but by its nature, it's very safe. Essentially, when babies, one of the #1 problems, the most common problem for babies is their lungs are not totally developed, and they're missing a product called surfactant. And so the alveoli, the little sacs inside the lung that make up the total lung, are actually collapsed. And so what happens if they collapse, they stick together. So if you provide a little bit of pressure and keep it open, then the baby can breathe. If you let it go to zero, they stick and the baby can't breathe. So this allows it to keep that little sac open, and then the baby can breathe. After a few days, they can pretty much breathe on their own. So where this is very different from normal ventilators, the ones that cost more money, is those machines push and pull air. You'll see them, and sometimes that machine will push at the wrong time, and it can actually cause more trauma. So this has been found world-round from the best hospital in the world that this is the best way, unless the baby absolutely needs to have support with the machine. That's why CPAP is advised to be about 80% of your cases use CPAP instead of a ventilator.
Wow, Kirk, I can't believe you designed and assembled this in Vietnam. How so?
Our first CPAPs were literally made out of plastic milk bottles.
Wow.
And the heater here was nothing more than a halogen bulb. And then it was just plastic bottles with tubes like this. And they were just sitting inside of here. And so that was the first batch that we made. And then, of course, from there, we realized we need to make things that was more simple for the nurse. These have fittings where you can disconnect, and put back. And this fitting only goes in this hole, where sometimes people could get confused. So essentially, we made it more of a real product, but that was a very long, slow progression. So when we started working with Dr.
What sets Kirk's designs apart is the fact that they are manufactured from scratch in Vietnam, starting from simple things around him, such as its milk bottle.
The air would bubble through this bottle, humidify, and then another bottle would be the CPAP bottle. So one thing that's quite beautiful is if we'd go in the NICU, there'd be about 30 babies, and you'd have all these glowing bottles like this in a dark room. It looked like little fireflies. Very beautiful. So anyhow, that's how that works.
That was the very first CPAP that you used.
Correct.
His versions of CPAP cost only $1,000 in Vietnam, while the same machine usually costs $7,000 or more in the industrialized world. Kirk first expected he would complete his CPAP version in 6 months, but it actually took him 4 years to finish. Kirk started his journey in Vietnam by volunteering at the National Hospital of Pediatrics. For 4 years, he worked with the nurses and learned how to look after babies. Dr. Hu Thị Khánh Dung, the hospital's vice director, has overseen Kirk's work from the beginning. She really admires Kirk's dedication to creating affordable machines that meet the hospital's needs.
Và lần đầu tiên mà khi mà tôi gặp Kirk thì cũng rất là tình cờ. Anh Kirk có sang trong một cái đoàn của Project Việt Nam Hoa Kỳ. Thì khi sang làm việc thì ấn tượng đầu tiên là khi tôi gặp Kirk thì thấy đang lúi húi làm việc, thì tôi cũng có hỏi đây là ai, thì mọi người có nói là đây là một anh kỹ sư người Mỹ trong cái đoàn Project, và anh sang anh nhìn thấy cái máy nó bị hỏng thì anh sửa chữa luôn. Thế thì tôi cũng chào hỏi và cũng nói với Kirk là thực sự thì chúng tôi có rất là nhiều các cái vấn đề về máy móc, bởi vì thứ nhất là nó nhiều máy của các tổ chức cho thì là second hand, cho nên là mới sang thì nó hoạt động được nhưng sau đó thì nó cũng không dùng được, và cái máy mà Kirk đang sửa thực sự chúng tôi kỹ sư ở đây họ cũng không thể nào giải quyết được, vì cái máy này thứ nhất là nó cũng đã quá lâu rồi, dụng cụ thay thế thì không có. Thế thì Kirk nói là chị cứ yên tâm, tôi sẽ cố gắng tôi sửa. Thế và hì hục sửa suốt cả cái đêm hôm đấy. Thế ngày hôm sau thì đoàn họ cũng đi Hạ Long, thế thì mình cũng nói là thôi anh cũng cứ đi theo đoàn để đi chơi, bởi vì thực sự thì cái công việc này nó làm mình đùa là muôn thuở, bởi vì anh có sửa thì nó cũng không thể hết được. Nhưng anh nói là tôi sang đây để làm việc chứ không phải là để đi chơi. Thế vì vậy cho nên là 3 ngày khi Kirk sang đây là hoàn toàn ở khoa của tôi để sửa 2 cái máy thở đấy. Sang năm thì là Kirk quay trở lại cũng với cái đoàn đó, nhưng sau đó thì anh ấy làm kế hoạch với chúng tôi và anh nói là tôi nghĩ là chị sẽ giúp tôi để làm thế nào để có thể làm ra được một cái máy. Kirk cũng đặt ra vấn đề là mình làm với những cái giá thành để thấp nhất. Thế thì chúng tôi làm lúc đầu chỉ dùng bằng chai sữa, rồi là chai la vi, rồi tất cả những các cái. Bây giờ một cái máy mà các anh các chị thấy bây giờ các cái tổ chức mà giúp đỡ cho mà tốt như thế này thì là qua rất là nhiều bước để mà cùng nhau để mà tháo gỡ và làm thì nó mới đẹp được như bây giờ.
Okay, today I would like to show me a little bit this change in the CPAP.
Kirk's CPAP machines have made a huge difference at the hospital. The mortality rate of premature babies in the first 24 hours has been brought down from about 40% 10 years ago to only 7% now. Respiratory distress is no longer a worry for the doctors and nurses here.
A lot of people come and look at these babies. This baby is about 850 grams maybe. And some people, it breaks their heart, it breaks mine. But if you just walk away, it doesn't help the baby. So somebody has to stay here and do the work. And so that's what we've done, and I'm very, very happy with it. So we have little guys like this, probably about, treated over 100,000 babies, and it's probably about maybe 100 babies every day in Vietnam on some machines, CPAP prototype performer that we've made. It just makes us feel good.
Besides designing machines, Kirk also puts a lot of effort into finding donors to sponsor his inventions, providing thousands of ventilators to neonatal units across Vietnam and even to neighboring countries including Laos and Cambodia. He is currently devising a baby station, which includes phototherapy and an incorporated webcam for local doctors to communicate with central hospitals. With his creations, he hopes to give an increasingly modern face to the health sector in Vietnam, but more importantly, to give these babies hope and another chance at life.
Biggest wish is to make the moms happy. You know, that's pretty simple. I mean, it's a healthy baby that mom can be happy with. And so that's our biggest wish. And really the next big wish is to take everything that we can do here and then go to places like Cambodia. And we've started this and have the doctors here and nurses here be able to teach and train doctors and nurses in Cambodia. And this actually makes Vietnam essentially like a leader in Southeast Asia for many of these countries in this way, which fits very well.
Cái mà quý ở Kirk là gì? Tức là cứ miệt mài làm việc thôi. Và thứ hai là làm được cái gì thì làm. Dù là những cái phần thiệt thòi nhất về mình có thể là mình chịu. Vì thực ra bọn mình làm như thế nhưng mà tiền thì tiền của anh ấy bỏ ra rồi các tổ chức người ta cho vào rồi làm, nhưng mà không rất là phi lợi nhuận. Tất nhiên có công nhân làm, một số người ta làm thì cũng phải trả cho người ta, nhưng không có lợi nhuận gì đây cả. Đấy, cái đấy là cái quý. Mình còn đùa anh là rất là yêu Việt Nam thì tại sao lại không lấy vợ Việt Nam. Anh bảo em sẽ không lấy vợ, bởi vì em lấy vợ thì em chỉ có thể chăm được 2 đứa con của em thôi. Nhưng nếu em không lấy vợ thì em sẽ chăm được cho rất nhiều trẻ con Việt Nam.
Where I get most of my stuff. Everything is in like one area.
This market has been a favorite place for Kirk for the last 10 years. Every time he wants to find inspiration for his inventions, he would wander around the market and find the particles that can be turned into his machines. Today he's looking for a motor for a centrifuge.
This is it's called a leaf blower. If we look here, it has 13,000, 16,000 RPM. Very fast spinning motor. So that's what we needed for a centrifuge, so that's why I went and got that.
So we have a ball and a bucket and a motor.
Correct.
Now we make a centrifuge.
A few years ago, Kirk saw in a hospital in Laos a need for a blood centrifuge. By his hotel bed, he turned a plastic tub, a bucket, and a motor into a full machine that can be used right away. Today, Kirk is creating his second version from the motor he just bought in Vietnam.
Okay, so we're finished. So now we're gonna test with real blood, right?
Yes, we are.
Test this machine, if it works or not.
Correct. There's our capillary tube. Okay. Okay. So we'll put it in here. Science in action. Let this run for at least a minute. We'll just see. So we haven't actually done tests yet. Go ahead, Tim, take the plastic off. And hold this. And so I did test before, but not with this version, and we haven't calibrated the speed. And so take that out. That's our holder. This is our capillary. What we hope to see is blood and the liquid separated, and you can see very clearly.
That's great,
It's
yeah.
excellent. It's fun to make something out of junk. Anh Hải ơi.
Khỏe không?
Khỏe. Em khỏe cho anh Hải.
Chị
anh ấy.
Ôi rồi. Đéo.
Khỏe.
Cảm ơn.
Được không?
Ok.
During the process of 13 years in Vietnam, Kirk has received support from a lot of people. One of them is his landlord couple in Infodike Road. Although Kirk only lived in the house for 4 years, they shared with him the ups and downs in his career path and helped him in any way they could. They took care of him as a member of the family.
Một cậu ấy sang đây mà vợ con thì cũng không lấy, mà suốt ngày chỉ cặm cụi với công việc, làm những cái máy để giúp bệnh viện như thế. Thì mình đến đây mình rất là tự hào mình vào đấy. Từ cái chỗ đó cái tình cảm hướng đối với gia đình mà thì nó lại càng có cái sự gắn bó thân mật. Chỉ nghĩ làm sao thứ nhất cậu giúp được cho bệnh viện nhi và cậu thành đạt được cái công việc của cậu phát triển ở Việt Nam. Thế là gia đình mình cảm thấy rất là vinh hạnh.
Anh Hai Chị Thanh really helped out in many ways. Times I was sick and they'd take care of me. I probably had more than 100 meals at this house, and but just a lot of whenever I'm down, they always listen to all my troubles. They even understand all the people that I worked with and know all the people's names. So they just care like family does, you know. Because I've traveled in other countries and other families I've met here and there, but really there's with Anh Hai Chị Thanh, it's closer and longer than any other place I've been in the world. So it's definitely my second family for sure.
So as you can see, Kirk has found his home away from home in Vietnam. The country has been in love with over the past 13 years. And who knows how many more of his inventions can be nurtured here and developed into food product. Let's wait and see. And for now, it's time for Vietnam at a glance. If you visit Vân Cầu village and the district of Hải Dương province the day before the clay crackers are founded festival, you will certainly stumble on a lot of people looking for the best clay for their crackers. From the young to the old, all eagerly participated in the competition. Although celebrated in many areas like Thái Bình or Hải Phòng, perhaps the Hải Dương versions are the most interesting one. So today in our Vietnam at a glance, let's discover more about the festival with Mark Martin and Đức Chung.
The origins of the founded folk game are interwoven with rural culture, history, and labor. There are many different theories about how it developed, but two central features underlie them all. One, it arose out of the everyday lives of agricultural people.
So the first step is to like grind it, not grind, but to flatten it out, make it like that shape, like what he's doing. Alright, okay. Rồi bắt đầu của cháu làm nhé.
Trung bình cái này nặng bao nhiêu? Nặng bao nhiêu? 20 cân rồi. 20 cân. 20 grams. Alright, I'll try. I'm prepared.
Bên đây là 40.
40. So it snaps there. Right.
So it will snap from that.
Okay, rồi quăng đây. It was heavier than it looks, that's for sure. But actually the hardest thing was I felt it slowly collapsing. So I was like worried that I was gonna split in two. Like I wasn't sure how I was supporting it properly. And then I was thinking too much about spinning it. I didn't even look to see what I might hit by throwing it.
We highly respect the skills of the successful folded casters. It's not just strength, there's technique involved. I think Matt now knows what folded is. Given another chance, we would try to make a folded with a border emulating those we saw, because we've learned the main goal is the length of the border when stretched, and of course, keeping it intact.
How do you enjoy the Folded Festival? I'm sure you'll be amazed by the traditional game. You can go there by yourselves. But before that, let's go to the place where people are flocking to these days in commemoration of the historic victory of Vietnamese people 60 years ago, with our host Lan Anh.
The Điện Biên Phủ victory on May the 7th, 1954, which ended French colonial rule in Vietnam, shook the world. In 1953, the French colonialists took control of Điện Biên Phủ with a complex of strong fortresses and 16,200 French troops, the most seasoned in Indochina. The French so-called unshakable stronghold was then defeated by Vietnamese army's massive attacks under the command of General Võ Nguyên Giáp, successfully prosecuted the siege for 56 days and nights.
The place where I'm standing right now was one of the fiercest battles in Điện Biên Phủ campaign. Together with this, Điện Biên Phủ city also preserves many other historical sites that are strongly associated to the legendary victory. So let's follow me in today's time now to have a peek into the past 60 years ago by visiting numerous important historical sites that you cannot miss in Điện Biên Phủ city. And let's start from here, the renowned Hill A1.
Hill A1, once considered impregnable, was the most important French position in Điện Biên Phủ Valley. Several parts of the fortifications still remain.
Có những cái điểm tham quan chính đó là lô cốt cây đa cụt này, hầm chỉ huy này, xe tăng này, mộ liệt sĩ này, với lại hố bộc phá. Và vị trí tham quan đầu tiên của cứ điểm A1 đó là vị trí lô cốt cây đa cụt. Cái vị trí này thì có cái nhiệm vụ đó là tiếp viện quân từ trung tâm Mường Xanh thông qua lô cốt này và theo cái đường hào tiếp viện này lên trên để chi viện cho căn hầm ngầm trên đỉnh đồi A1 của Pháp lúc bấy giờ. Và nhiệm vụ tiêu diệt lô cốt cây đa cụt này được giao cho đại đội 671, tiểu đoàn 251, trung đoàn 174 thuộc đại đoàn 316. Xin mời em chúng ta vào tham quan thực tế cái căn hầm này nhé. Dạ. Sẽ ra thì toàn bộ người. Bây giờ xin mời bạn chúng ta đi tiếp để chúng ta tham quan cứ điểm A1. Dạ xin bạn.
Among the battle's remains on Hill A1 is this tank, one of the 10 18-ton tanks provided for the French troops by the U.S. Army. 2 tanks participated in the battle, and one was destroyed by Vietnamese soldiers, and it still remains here today. Next to the tank is the resting place of 4 soldiers who died during the fights. Located on top of Hill A1 is the French command bunker, which provided a view over the entire city, and Vietnamese troops planned to dig a tunnel right next to the command bunker to destroy it with explosives.
Nhưng do điều kiện thì chúng ta đã chạm phải một cái nền móng cũ của Pháp xây dựng. Nó còn cách căn hầm đấy những 25 mét nữa. Và cái thời gian mà chúng ta đào từ đây lên đấy không còn nữa. Các chiến sĩ chúng ta được lệnh là chúng ta dừng tại đây. Và trong 2 đêm là đêm mùng 4 và mùng 5 tháng 5 thì khối thuốc nổ có trọng lượng 960 kg. Thì đúng 20 giờ 30 phút tối ngày mùng 6 tháng 5 1954 thì chúng ta cho nổ khối thuốc nổ này. Lúc bấy giờ quân địch ở trong căn hầm cố thủ kia bị sức ép, chảy máu mồm máu mũi, choáng váng thì chấp thời cơ chúng ta xông lên tiêu diệt cái căn hầm cố thủ trên đồi A1 của thực dân Pháp. Tổng Thiệt hại của quân Pháp trong cái trận đánh cứ điểm đồi A1 là bao nhiêu ạ? Chúng ta tiêu diệt là 825 tên địch, nhưng về phía ta thì chúng ta lại hy sinh hơn 2.000 chiến sĩ.
Đây là một trong những di tích mà mình ấn tượng nhất. Đến đây thì mình mới cảm giác được là ngày xưa bộ đội của ta anh dũng đến mức như thế nào. Khi mà vượt qua được bao nhiêu những chông gai rồi là những cái rào cản của quân địch. Mỗi người chắc chắn khi đến những cái địa danh như thế này sẽ có những cái bài học riêng cho mình mà không có sách vở nào có thể dạy được.
There's another major site that has become a symbol of the victory.
This is the famous command bunker of French General de Carteret, which was once covered by dense systems of defense lines, including barbed wires and tanks. Even though it was severely damaged during the war, the structure and arrangement of the bunker that took the Vietnamese army 56 days and nights to win over still remain.
Cái căn hầm này thì được bố trí sâu dưới lòng đất 2 mét, có chiều dài 2 mét, rộng 8 mét, được chia thành 4 gian, thấp hơn so với hướng tấn công của ta. Thì mặc dù từ trên những ngọn đồi cao ta có thể nhìn thấy ngay trong tầm mắt hoặc qua ống nhòm quan sát, nhưng mà không gì chúng ta có thể tấn công vào đây được. Nếu như mà đại tướng Võ Nguyên Giáp không sáng suốt chuyển từ phương án đánh nhanh thắng nhanh sang đánh chắc tiến chắc, lần lượt chúng ta bóc từng lớp vỏ cứng của tập đoàn mới đi đến kết thúc chiến dịch.
The bunker consists of 4 compartments, which serves as both working offices and sleeping quarters.
Of all the places in Vietnam, I've always wanted to visit this site because my father was a veteran who served the Castries and died in this battle. This is a really touching tour as I can somehow live in a space where my father used to live and observe the cruelty of the war and many sacrifices it caused to people of both nations.
At 5:30 p.m. on May the 7th, 1954, the Carteret was captured alive as Vietnamese soldiers raised flag on top of the bunker, putting an end to the fierce battle. A bronze statue is casted in Dien Bien Phu city in commemoration of the victory. This represents the image of brave soldiers fight their way to defeat the invaders and the future generations' gratitude toward their ancestors.
The statue of Dien Bien Phu victory also concludes this time-out tour to important historical sites in Dien Bien Phu city. I hope that you spend some time visiting this beautiful and heroic city yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye for now.
That is all we have for our show today. From our team here in Hanoi, thank you very much for your watching. Do email us at expatLiving@vtv.vn if you have anything to share about our program, or if you want to watch our shows again, simply log on vtv4.vn. For now, goodbye and until next time.